Alright, good evening. The sun is just about down outside. Well, it's pretty much completely gone, but there's still a bit of a glow in the background that you may be able to see out that window. Anyway, I'm going to do one of these unreleased tracks things. I'm not going to lie, I have already done this video once, but unfortunately had some audio issues. I've been having quite a few lately. My fancy selfie stick has got some problems where it's putting a weird buzzing noise over the audio when I talk. It's some kind of strange compression system that I don't know what's wrong. DJI that make them don't know what's wrong. I might have to send it away to them to try and figure it out, but yeah, hopefully they fix it for me. If I get enough views on these videos, maybe they can give me a new one. That'd be nice. But anyway, I'm going to break the rules that I set in my first video where I talked about not being able to show people some of these tracks because there are some performances on them which technically haven't been authorized for release. So anytime we release music, as I found out with another project I was in, if one person decides after the fact that they no longer approve of their music or their performance being released, they can actually remove that from streaming. I won't say the band name. People who know me will know when that occurred. We actually released an EP that got taken down because a particular member turned around and said, I didn't give approval for my performances to be released, even though we had records of chat messages and text messages contrary to that. Also, that person performed in a video which was released for one of those songs, which is still available. Do some research if you want to find that track. It's actually a really good song. I actually think that EP that we released, probably the best work that person had ever done, which was really strange that they decided to not have that around anymore. It basically got wiped from the face of the earth. I do have all the original recordings of that. Anyway, back to the unreleased Azreal stuff. So all the performances that you're going to hear, apart from the vocals in these tracks, are mine. So the guitars are mine, the bass is me playing the bass tracks, and the drums are programmed through a program called Easy Drummer, which the basic version of it, which I had a cracked version, isn't the greatest. The sound packs on there aren't great. You can't really tweak them too much, but I'll stop making excuses. They don't sound great. They're just scratch tracks or just pre-production tracks, so we knew what we had to work with when we went to the studio to actually record. We'll get down to it. So I'm going to show you 3 tracks. They do have vocals on them. Some of them are incomplete. 2 of them are full. I'm not going to show you the full tracks. I'll just give you the idea. But the first one I'm going to show you is called The Mist. If you've watched Azreal play live anytime since us coming back from the Devil Driver tour in the US, you would have heard this track. It was written around the same time as the single Beast that we released, I think about 6 months after we came back. But it was never released, but it has been performed. I could almost say at every single show since we wrote the song and had it all together, or since that Devil Driver tour. Yeah, so there are other versions of this getting around where people have filmed it at the show and whatnot, but this is the pre-production track. So, alright, let's get into it. I'll make the excuse again. The drums aren't great. Bear with it, you'll get what I mean. But this is The Mist. That was the neighbour yelling at the kids, which is cool. Let me know in the comments if this sounds familiar, if you've heard this track before live. Go through another verse so we can get to the chorus. You get the idea. If you've heard that song live before, you'd know it. To give you a bit of detail on like those programmed drum tracks I'm talking about. So the way that worked generally is we kind of two ways things work. Sometimes I would write a track at home and I'd just have the guitar tracks recorded, and then I might program some drums to it just to give Chris an idea of kind of what I'm after. If it happened that way, then it would be a matter of me taking the tracks to the jam shed, we rehearse through it, and then I'd just capture a live recording of it on my phone that I'd bring home, and then I would try and recreate Chris's drum tracks within Easy Drummer, which is a fucking difficult task, I'll give you that. Picking up the little intricacies on the way he plays things and trying to recreate them. If you've ever used Easy Drummer, you know what it looks like. For people who are not really into music too much, I can quickly explain it. So you're basically looking at a grid that shows up, and so most people would know, they talk about 4/4 music. So you basically got all your bars, you've got 4 beats within the bars. You can then break down those 4 beats to a half beat or a quarter beat or an eighth of a beat. And then you've got to go through on this grid and put a little dot on each, whether it's the kick or the snare or the hi-hat, to create the drum track. So as you can imagine, it's very mechanical, very, very mechanical, and it is to the beat. So you'll hear, would have heard bits in there where it sounds a bit da-da, kind of stabby. It shouldn't be. It should be much looser. But anyway, I'm making excuses again. But we'll move on to the next track. We just wanted to give you an idea of how that works. I might even be able to bring it up and show you on Pro Tools what that looks like. I don't know how good that screen will show up. Next track. So the next track we had is called Infected. I had to look there because I couldn't remember the name of it. So Infected is another song. It came about around about the same time as The Mist and Beast, maybe a little bit later, where we played this live again. You can say most of the shows again in that period of time between the US and whatever our last gig was. I think it was Wallapalooza, our last gig, when we played. We went back down to the dungeon, which was fucking hell of a lot of fun. We played this song there, I believe. This won't include a chorus in it because the chorus kind of changed over time. There was an original version where it had a slower guitar riff, more of a groovier, open type thing. And then it changed this faster version. I actually ended up writing 3 different versions of the chorus, but I can't remember which way it went, but the vocals changed in there at some part. The original one had Scotty and I doing gang vocals as backups during the chorus. I really fucking liked it, but for some reason it just didn't settle. And it would try to get changed a few times, never ended up with a new version of it. But anyway, this is the song. It's a bit of a thrasher. This is called Infected. It's about killing zombies. I believe it's based off The Walking Dead or something like that. It would have been introduced with that kind of introduction to it. Here we go. Had to put this on the right way. Clear vision. This is the chorus, where the chorus was. Gonna let this go because there's a solo coming up. That'll do for that one. You get there, goes into a chorus, goes into a fast ending. Quite the fucking thrash at that one. It was kind of a tricky song to play. That breakdown in the middle, that riff that comes in after. It's one, again, I'm spewing we didn't get to record this properly because that riff is one that I wrote. And when I first played it, I was like, that's a riff. And then I fucking couldn't play it again. It took me so long to actually track that up and get it right. Originally, I was trying to pick every note in it, and it started sounding too mechanical. So I had to kind of play every second note, use some hem-runs and pull-offs, basically, to get that nice rolling sound with it. But again, to hear it in a proper studio would have been cool. This would have just been recorded through probably my Line 6 pod pedal that I've got direct out of that. No guitar cab or anything. So with the media sound, would have been good to hear with the full stack. But alright, moving on. Last one we've got, Lord of the Flies is the last one. So again, written about the same time as Infected. Bit of a different song. I gotta say, bit bouncier, kind of a little bit of melodic in it. Still had the thrashy bits though too, but I think at the time where we were kind of headed was a mix between Better Dead, the Better Dead album, the Premonition album. Better Dead being a kind of darker, more somber album. I'd say just as heavy as Premonition, but Premonition was a bit angrier, a bit thrashier. Better Dead did have its thrash moments, but it was more, to me it was a kind of slower, darker, almost heavier in parts album because it was darker. Premonition was just a fucking blast. We're a bit angry we was thrashing out, but anyway, this one is called Lord of the Flies. Based on the movie, I believe. It's got an intro at the start, which is taken from the movie. It did get to that. It got to that far in the pre-production process that we started piecing together bits of, like I said, little samples to put throughout it as we do within the albums. Again, that's another reflection of Better Dead, because I think almost every track in Better Dead has some kind of sample, either as an intro or an outro, or somewhere throughout the song, or a combination of all three. Premonition was a little bit more stripped back than that, because it was more of a kind of fast-paced album where it was just, there was no time for fucking around. It was just song, 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 song. But we did do that kind of interlude piece in Premonition as well. Anyway, let's get to it. Lord of the Flies.
This is a present for the monster.
You would have heard this live too. This is definitely one that we played many, many times since coming back from the US. Right, you get the point. It's thrashy. It's got a little melodic stuff at the start, the bounce, kind of the vibe that we were doing there. Now, to get, I guess, a little bit more into where we were at that point in time, I did talk about that kind of by the end of things, there was like a double album worth of tracks available already to work on. That's what you can see there on the screen. Like, just so you know, I'm not telling fibs. There's all the tracks. Keep in mind, some of these folders have multiple tracks in them as well. Anyway, we never quite got there. There was a plan at one point to release possibly 3 consecutive EPs, 5-track EPs. The original plan was the Green Album, the follow-up to Better Dead and Premonition, the Blue Album, the Red Album, the Green Album. The title for the Green Album, I think, was going to be the Green Album, but I'm not sure. We never really got that far. But anyway, talking about the 3 EP releases, well, that possibility. So with Beast that I talked about earlier, which you can find on YouTube, I'll put links to it below, but just search Azreal Beast. You have to check it because it does sometimes automatically spell check Azreal and change it to Azrael. The correct spelling is Azreal. Just check that. If you have trouble, try Azreal, Cease to Be, or Surveying the Fearful, and that'll link you to the page. You'll find Beast there as well. Those 3 tracks I just showed you, plus Beast, that's 4 tracks. So we're 1 track short of an EP, the 5-track EP. The last track I'm going to show you which never made it live because we never really finished it. We were working on it. It's a track that just jumps straight in. It's pretty hard out. We never really worked it, I guess, to a point where we wanted it to be, or where it sounded right, or But I'll show you. This is just music. There's no vocals on it. To show you what possibly would have been the 5th track on the 5-track EP. So we'll jump into it. You get the gist. So that's it. That's 5 tracks that possibly could have been an EP that never, unfortunately, saw the light of day, which I am still a bit spewing about. We had plenty of time to get it out there. I mean, these tracks push back to pre-COVID, I'd say. You're talking... I'd say all five of those tracks were written before 2019. Ready to go. Like I said, there's the 3 of them there. Well, Beast included, so 4. So Beast, The Mist, Lord of the Flies, and Infected were all performed live for many, many years there. It's a shame they probably... most likely never see the light of day in a recorded format. Don't really know what we can do about that. Maybe there's a way around it. I don't know. If it's something you're interested in, talk to me. Maybe we can sort something out and get in and record or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there. If you're wondering kind of why I'm looking all around the place, I've got a screen here, I've got a screen here, and my camera's over there. Like I talked about earlier, having some sound issues, so I'm kind of all over the place with placement of stuff. Alright, drop some comments below. Let me know if there's any of those tracks that you did like, that you remember hearing live. Let me know if you'd somehow like to see these tracks recorded and released in the future in some kind of format. Whatever works, whatever we can sort out. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Subscribe to the Azreal channel on YouTube as well. I'll put all the links in this video and on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to me on Facebook and Instagram, or like me, or whatever the hell you do on there. Click the button that you have to click. And that's it. I'll leave you with it. Sun's completely down. It's dark outside now. Have a great evening, and I will, as soon as I find where I've got to click this to turn it off. Bit of an amateur. There we go. See that? I've got to push this red button. Have a great night. I'll catch you all soon. See yous.